This conference will now be recorded.
So now you can put on mute, both of you. So if you have any doubts, just you can chat. Okay, so Oracle, we are studying about Oracle. It belongs to RDBMS model that you would have studied earlier, right? So what do you mean by relational model? Means data and relations are stored in the form of tables. So the as well as it is stored in the form of, like, the relation is maintained between the tables as well as between the rows and the columns as well. And RDBMS provides consistency. Consistency means what? Either the transactions are completed or it is rolled back. If it is not successfully done, it is rolled back. It won't be halfway. Okay, like as we do in our ATM, we are drawing money from the bank. What it will do, it will just either it will allow us to take the money, or it will roll back the transaction. It will say that the transaction got declined. Yeah.
Yeah, Ronnie, are we gonna do the notepad or no?
Sorry.
Are we gonna use the notepad?
If required, I'll use.
Yeah, that would be better for explanation and stuff.
Can you see my screen?
No, we don't. I don't see your screen. That's why I was asking.
Okay. Yeah, I'll share the screen. I think.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Fine. Yeah, I'll show
Sure.
you the screen. Now are you able to see?
Yes. Okay. That's good. Right. Thank you.
Fine. Yeah. So this is how the relation is being maintained between the tables, between using foreign keys, primary keys and all, as well as between the rows and the columns. Also we maintain the relation. And also the features of the RDBMS means like consistency, concurrency, etc. So consistency means like either the transactions or completed, that is atomicity is there, then durability is there, isolation is there. So all these are the properties of the RDBMS, we can say. So the atomicity means like the transactions are completed, and the consistency means one whichever the user is seeing a particular record, the other user also should should see the same output. Okay, for example, user u1 is viewing the records of a particular table, u2 should also see the same records of the same table. Fine. Next one is concurrency. So what do you mean by concurrency? At the same time, multiple users accessing the same group of resources. Like as I said earlier, one is selecting and viewing the records, the other should be inserting the records. Okay, so such same table can be accessed by multiple users, but only one can do any DML operations. So DML operations means what? Data manipulation language operations they can do. Fine. So that is what is called concurrency. So users accessing the same group of resources like tables or rows, etc. So next one is database market share. That is, the whole database market is being dominated by 48%. By last year survey, it is 48% by Oracle. It's been dominated. Okay, while the other vendors like IBM or Microsoft or the remaining vendors are just lagging behind, just catching back. Okay, so the other how I can say that Oracle is proceeding forward means due to the utility called SQL language. Okay, so we have the SQL language, structured query language, which is easy for any naive user to learn and practice it. Okay, to retrieve the data, to select and view the records, or to insert the records, or whatever it is easy using the SQL language for them. That's why it is being used. Next one is the DBA tasks. So what are the tasks of the DBA being expected by the client? So like installing and upgrading database software and application tools. Like while the DBA is working, he should know the installation of the software like 9i or 10G or 11G or 12C, whatever it is. Now it has come till 18C and 19C. Okay, every year they are going to release the product based on the name of the year. Like last year 2019, so it is called 19C. Before the previous year it was 18C. Okay, so installing and upgrading means what? From 9i, for example, the database was in 9i, means to upgrade the software to 10G or 11G and so on. If the database is already they are using 10G, means they would upgrade it to 12C or 18C. And allocating system storage and planning feature allocation means capacity planning. Like they should be able to configure the parameters, like storage parameters they should be able to configure. Means like which are all the parameters have been introduced in 12C. So those parameters are useful for planning the future allocation as well. Like we call this as a capacity planning. Means like a database architect will have the idea, so the same similar idea the DBA is also expected to have. Like for example, like 1,000 transactions per second are going on this year. Might be after 6 months or so, or next year it might get doubled or tripled. So accordingly I should manage my database. Okay, so I should tell my client proactively. I should be proactive enough to tell my client that this is the storage parameters I may require after 6 months or 1 year. Like that we should be able to suggest the client about it, so that he'll be happy. Next one, creating database and its storage parameters. So where we should know to create the parameters. So what are all the parameters we should give? So for example, if it is 12C, if it is 18C, if it is 19C, so what are all the new parameters have been introduced? How I can improve the efficiency of the database? So all these things I should be knowing it. Next one, creating database structures, objects, users, and granting privileges means what? Like database structures means what? Like tables, synonyms, sequences, clusters, views. So all these things we should know to create. As well as I should know to create the users and granting privileges as well. Privileges means what? Permissions. So for example, if a particular user is a team leader or a project manager, okay, so team leader is not going to write any code, or project manager is not going to write any code. So according to his role I should know, like only the reading privilege I can give for them. For the project manager I can give only the reading code, and for the team leader only execution code I can give. So depends on the role of their persons I can give accordingly my privileges as well. So I should understand the role of the particular users before granting any privileges to them, right? So next one is setting up database security and auditing. So this one we saw earlier, like a ransomware threat and all, might be 2 to 3 years back we had, right? So such a thing should not affect my database. As well as auditing also I should do. Auditing means what? Like object level auditing or system level auditing is there. So monitoring a particular person. See, I am suspecting a particular person and I want to monitor him about his role, what is doing. Might be he is accessing a particular sensitive table, he's accessing, he's reading a table. So when and all he has read the table, so when and all he has inserted some records onto the table. So such a type of monitoring is called auditing. Okay, so the whole database level I can audit, or else I can audit the particular user level as well. Then setting up database backup and recovery when required. So backup and recovery means like I should know which when I can take the backup. So depends on the type of the transactions I have to decide. So for example, if the database is going to be OLTP or OLAP, so what do you mean by that? OLTP means see, there are two types of databases available. So OLTP means online transaction processing. You would have heard about it. online transaction processing type of databases are available, or else you have OLAP. So online analytical processing, online analytical processing. So what do you mean by this? Analytical processing databases. So these are the two types of the databases available. OLTP means it has some deadline. Okay. So for example, bank, you can say, okay, example banks. So what is the feature for this OLTP means it has to follow the deadline. Otherwise it will decline the transaction. So for example, in ATM or during net banking, if you're idle for a particular second, how many seconds? Might be 10 to 20 seconds. If you're idle, it will throw you out. The session will be closed, right? So such type of processing are called OLTP. Next one is OLAP. So OLAP means creating the reports, doing analysis. So all these are OLAP databases. Okay. So creating reports, analysis. So for example, while you're doing your YouTube browsing, you might have got like survey, please finish the survey, what is your age, which product you are using, like that you might get the surveys right in your YouTube. So similarly, such type of reports and analysis, surveys, all these things will come under OLAP. So here the transactions won't be much, but very less transactions. While you are comparing OLTP, it is overflown with transactions, whereas OLAP means less number of transactions, but we'll be utilizing it for later purpose. So for example, like medical records or insurance records. So all these things are examples of OLAP, data warehousing. So these are the examples of OLAP. So these databases, for example, OLAP means like monthly once I can take the backup. Okay, so backup strategy I have to decide depending on the type of the database. Excuse me. And if it is a OLTP database, means might be weekly once I might require to take the backup. So depends on the type of the database. I have to take up backup and recovery. Recovery means I should apply the archive logs. Okay, so this we'll see later. What is a recovery, backup and all. Next one is setting up database monitoring. Monitoring means you should know you are monitoring the database. Like you should know how to which are all the tables I don't want. So what I can do is I can move it to some other storage, and I can configure alerts and notifications, okay, through mails or SMS about the database, like for example space usage, or any like a malicious user is trying to hack my system. So any unwanted or abnormal action is going on in my database, it can be informed to me through the alerts and notifications. So that is what is called monitoring. Next one, database optimization and performance tuning. What do you mean by that? So optimization means with minimum number of resources, I want to maximize my benefits. Okay. So I have to find out how I can give the maximum results to the user. Fine. So that is what is called optimization. And performance tuning means if a particular user is coming and reporting to you, see, yesterday this query last for might be 10 minutes, now it is taking 15 minutes. So what is the reason? So you have to analyze, like every day this is the problem, is it a recurring problem, or occasionally this problem occurs. So accordingly you have to provide the solution to the user. So tuning means not only the query tuning, but also memory tuning, or network bandwidth might be less, or a hard disk level might be the speed would have got lesser. So you have to find out how you can tune or boost the performance of the database. Next one, maintaining database and implementing high availability. What do you mean by that? Means, like as I said earlier, while you're doing the transactions, you might know that which are the critical tables. which are the highly more important tables, okay, and which are the infrequent tables like monthly ones, salary table and all monthly ones you will be accessing the tables, or yearly ones you might access some tables. So those tables which are not frequently accessed, we can move it to the low storage, low cost storage. Okay, so we have two types of storage, like high costly, as well as it might give high speed as well. Fine. So similarly, I can find out which are all the critical records, which are the frequently accessed records. Those I can move it to the highly important storage, highly costly storage, and the remaining records, which are all the not important, so I can move it to the other low cost storage devices. Fine. So that is what is maintaining database and implementing high availability. So what do you mean by this? See, high availability means in Oracle we have two types. Okay, high availability means one is rack. So what do you mean by this? Rack means real application clusters. Okay, real application clusters means what? Cluster means a group of nodes. Okay, real application clusters. Next one is data guard, or golden gate, or golden gate. Okay, so what's the difference between these two? See, whenever I have my instance, see, I have my machine. Okay, just bear with my drawing. So you have one machine. Okay, you have one database as well. Okay, so through this machine I'm accessing my database, isn't it? So I'm calling this physical machine as instance and this one as the database. Okay, so if my instance goes off, if my machine due to some memory or due to some problem, this machine goes off, how I'll access my database? So what I'll do is I'll have one more machine. Okay, one more mission or one more mission, so like this I can have, through which I can access my database. So I am not depending on this particular single node, multiple nodes are there to access my database. Even if this mission goes off, through this I can access. So this is what is called as cluster. Okay, cluster means a group of nodes through which I can access my database. This is what is called real application clusters. Fine. So if my machine goes off, if there is any problem with the instance, through some other machines also I'm accessing my database. So this is what is called real application clusters. Fine. So now what do you mean by data guard? See, my machine is okay, but if there is any problem with my database, what will happen? So we are maintaining one more database. Okay, so this one you call it as primary, the other one you call it as standby. Okay, if there is any problem with this, it would automatically stand up and it will become the primary. Okay, till we make it as the primary, it will be working as the primary database. Fine. So this is what is data guard means. Fine, the machine is okay, but my database might get crashed, right? So to find a solution for this, what we are doing, we are maintaining one more database called standby database, and instead of this physical or primary database, this will stand up till it's getting repaired. Fine. So do you have any doubts till now? Okay, so if you have any doubts, just you can chat or you can unmute yourself. Okay, so next one is, so this is what high availability is, and data guard or golden gate. So this golden gate is a lightweight one. like heavy loads it cannot do. Data guard only can take care. So the same concept here in Golden Gate, but still this is a heavy weight and this is a heavy loads it can bear. Whereas Golden Gate just for lightweight transactions, very less volume of transactions it can be able to do. Fine. So next one is this is the architecture. We have the user process, server process, and here the instance. So before that we'll see our Oracle server is being organized like this. So Oracle server contains Oracle instance and Oracle database, and Oracle instance contains two components. One is memory structures, the other one is background processes. Okay, Oracle server contains two components. One is Oracle instance and the other one is Oracle database. So Oracle instance contains two components again in turn. It contains memory structures as well as background processes. Okay, so memory structures it contains two type of components. One is SGA, the other one is PGA. Okay, one is SGA, the other one is PGA. So Oracle database contains three types of files. Here data files, control files, and redo log files. Okay, so our database contains three components called data files, control files, and redo log files. Okay, so I'll repeat. Oracle server contains two components. One is Oracle instance, the other one is Oracle database. Oracle instance contains two components, memory structures and background processes. So memory structures contains two components. One is SGA, the other one is PGA. Oracle database contains three components. One is data files, control files, and redo log files. Right. So now we'll see what do you mean by this instance. Instance means what? You have to say define instance means memory structures and background processes form the instance. So here we'll see what these are. That is SGA or system global area. Okay, system global area, SGA. What is the abbreviation for this? System global area or shared global area, we used to say shared global area. Okay, next one PGA. So program global area or processed global area. Process global area. Okay, so this has been done. So now user process means what? You're logging into the database. Might be you would have logged in like Scott/Tiger and so on, right? So for one user process, one server process would be created. Okay, server process. What is the responsibility of the server process? Means the server process will just monitor whenever the user is firing some query, like inserting the records or selecting and viewing the records or whatever it is. The server process will have the responsibility to monitor that request by the user process is being satisfied or not, is being completed or not, successfully it's been completed or not. Fine. So user process means just you're logging into the database, one process will be created, and that user process will create one more process called server process. So that server process has the responsibility to check whether the user, whatever the queries being given by the user, is being successfully completed or not. Right. So next one it goes to instance. So instance means we know memory structures and background processes. So memory structures, here you have SGA and PGA. So PGA we'll see later. First SGA. So SGA, you see what are all the components behind it. So it contains shared pool, DBBC, redo log buffer cache, Java pool, large pool. So these are the components of the SGA. Okay. So the SGA contains the components called SGA contains, first one is shared pool, second one is DBBC, third one is RLBC, fourth one Java pool, fifth one is large pool. Okay. So what do you mean by this shared pool? Means the shared pool contains, again in turn contains two components. One is library cache, the other one is data dictionary cache. Okay, data dictionary cache, data dictionary cache, or row cache. Okay. So what do you mean by this library cache? What is the function of the library cache? That is, shared pool contains two components. One is library cache, the other one is data dictionary cache. That's what we are going to learn now. What is the function of the library cache? So first one is library cache doing is parsing. Okay. So parsing, there are four types of parsing it does. So one is syntactic parsing, syntactic parsing, semantic parsing, semantic parsing, hard parsing. Next one is soft parsing. Okay, soft parsing. Okay, so syntactic parsing means what? It will check the rules. Okay, it will check the rules. So for example, if I am giving a query like this, select star from table name T1. Okay, so like this I have given a query. So the syntactic parsing means it will check the rules, like you have the keyword called select. After that one space is there. Okay, correct. After that one star is there or some column names. Okay. After that one space is there. After that one from keyword is there. Okay. After that one space is there. After that one some name is there. After that some semicolon is there. So like that it will just check the space and the keywords. Fine. So that is what is the checking the rules. Okay. So check spaces and keywords. Okay, so this is what is syntactic parsing. Next one is semantic parsing. Semantic parsing means checking the meanings for a particular query. So it won't check whether select is there, all those things, just it will read select star from T1 is there, it will read. Okay, so whether this particular table called T1 is available already in the database, it will check whether this query gives any meaning or not. Okay, so that is what is semantic parsing. Next one is hard parsing. Hard parsing means what? Hard parsing means whenever I'm firing the query for the first time, I'm firing the query for the first time, you call that as the hard parsing. Okay, means what? See, whenever I'm firing the query, it has to give some, it has to allocate cursors for it. Okay, so it has to allocate cursors and generate parse trees. Okay, generate parse trees and execution plan. It has to find out the execution plan. That is, it has to generate the parse trees and allocating the cursors. So what do you mean by this cursors? Cursors means just it is a small memory you can imagine. Okay, cursor means it's a small memory where it will keep all the records. See, for example, I'm giving select star from some table name. It is containing some 2 lakh records. Means from this place, it will keep all the records here. From this place only, it will show us. While you are running the command, the records will be going faster, right? So it will be showing from this place called cursor. Fine. So this is what is cursor is. Cursor is a small memory, okay, little or small memory from where all the records are being shown. Okay, so select star from, if I give, this is the place from where it will be shown, and as soon as it has shown all the records, it will just deallocate the memory to the server. Okay, it will just erase that particular cursor. Fine. So this is what is called short term memory or a small memory. Fine. So that is what is a cursor is. And parse trees means it should find out. See, I'm giving some select star from some table name means it should find out select after star after from after t1. So like that, it has to read all the words, it has to identify from where it has to find out. All the inbuilt work will be done here. Fine. Next one is soft parsing. So what do you mean by soft parsing? Soft parsing means subsequent times. Okay, subsequent times the same query is been, that is from the second time if the same query is been fired. Okay, first time when I am firing the query, you call that as hard parsing. Soft parsing means subsequent times from the second time if I am firing the same query, it is called as soft parsing. Okay, so why soft parsing, this is an interview question. Why soft parsing is preferred over hard parsing? Means whenever the query is given for second time, it no need for it to run the to allocate the cursors and pass trees and all. Already cursors would have been allocated. It knows, it has the knowledge that how much cursors have been allocated, so it has the idea of how many cursors it has to allocate and how the pass trees should be generated. So already it has been generated, right? So it would use already generated pass trees, so it won't take much time. Can you follow? So this is what is called soft parsing. From the second time whenever I am firing the same query, you call that as the soft parsing. Next one is data dictionary cache or row cache. So what do you mean by this? Means it will check the users and objects privileges. Okay, users and objects privileges. So what do you mean by this? Means if a particular user is wants to access a particular record of a particular table, means if I'm giving select u1 is giving u1 is a user, he wants to access u2's records. Okay, select star from u2 dot t2 he's saying. Okay, but this u1 doesn't have privilege, he cannot select and view the u2's record, u2's t2 table. He doesn't have the privilege permission to access the u2's t2 table, but still u1 is giving that um, query. Okay, so this data dictionary cache will go and check whether this u1 has the privilege to access this u2's t2 table. Fine. So that is what is users privilege. Users and objects privilege means in two perspective, that is like that particular t2 has the privilege, who and all or the users has the privilege over that t2. Okay, so who is the owner? He has all the rights to even delete the records or insert. Who owner means what? Who has created that particular table? So u2 has created the table called t2, means u2 has all the privileges. Fine. So this t2, this data dictionary cache will go and check whether this particular t2 can be accessed by who and all the users, might be U1 or U2 or U3, who and all the users. Okay, in two perspective, it will check. Fine. So that is also one more function of the data dictionary cache. So next one is, first one, it is doing users and objects privileges, it is checking. Second function it is doing is, it is maintaining data dictionary views and data dictionary tables. So what do you mean by this? So data dictionary views and data dictionary tables contain the metadata. Metadata means what? Data about the data. Okay, details about the database. That is what is called metadata. So these two functions are done by data dictionary cache. Fine. So this is data dictionary cache. Next one is database buffer cache. So see, I'm giving a query, this database buffer cache, the actual execution of the query is done here only. Okay, actual execution of the query. Actual execution means what? See, I want to insert some records. I'm inserting some 10 lakh records. So the actual insertion is done in the DBBC only. The DBBC is the place where actual execution takes place. Fine. Next one is RLBC. So RLBC means redo log buffer cache. Redo log buffer cache. And DBBC means database buffer cache. Okay, where the actual execution takes place. And RLBC contains the redo log entries. Okay, redo log entries means what? So see, whenever the user, a particular user is logging in into the database and firing some query, this is the place where it will record all the details about that transaction. So for example, U1 has, which user has accessed what machine and what query he has given at what time. Like an attendance register, you can imagine. Okay, so in an attendance register, what we are doing while you are entering into the office, you're entering all the details, right? At what particular time, what is your name, your ID card details, like that. Read log buffer contains read log entries, which are the details about the transaction, not the transaction, not the data. It won't contain, just the queries details will be present here. So what is the purpose of this RLBC means? Okay, what is the purpose of this RLBC? It contains redo log entries. The purpose is, it is used for recovery purpose. Okay, so recovery purpose means what? Recovery purpose means, for if I want to, if my transactions are gone. Okay, okay, so for recovery purpose, if my DBBC is crashed, okay, this component went out, I don't have the data, or my data files went out. So how I will regenerate the data? Okay, to regenerate the data, this redo log buffer is used, because it contains all the transaction details, right? So using that, we can generate the data again. Fine, that is what is the purpose of the RLBC. That's why we call this as this is used for recovery purpose. Next one is Java pool. So Java pool is just used for internal applications. Okay, Oracle's internal application, this Java pool is used. Oracle's internal applications, this Java pool is being used. That is, we don't use it explicitly. It will used. That is, during the DBCA creation and all, we have the wizards. For that, it will use the Java pool. Next one is large pool. Large pool means it is sharing the burden of the shared pool. Okay, sharing the burden of the shared pool. Okay. As well as RMAN backup is also being done here. Means what? See, whenever the shared pool is overflown with so many queries, it's not able to handle it, this large pool will share it. Okay, some of the queries it will take, and this is the place where the two components functions will be done. Okay, as well as during the backup. Okay, this is the place where the backup will be done. Fine. So that is why we call this as large pool. Next one is the PGA. So what do you mean by this PGA? So PGA means it is used for sorting and searching purpose. So already we know PGA is for program global area or process global area, where sorting and searching is done. Okay, sorting and searching is done. So what do you mean by this? Sorting means, like, if I want to view the records based on some location. Okay, so select star from some table name I'm giving, order by some location, or based on date I want to find out who is the senior employee I want to find out. So based on the date descending, I want to find out, I want to arrange the records in that particular order. So for sorting and searching means binary search. So like it will do the binary search automatically. Based on that, this is the place it will use for PGA. Can you follow? PGA is the place where the sorting and searching is being done, right? So next one is the background processes. Okay, so these are the 5 mandatory background processes we have. We have the process called PMON, SMON, DB writer, log writer, and checkpoint. So what is the purpose of these background processes? We'll see. We have the background processes, like first one is PMON we have. So PMON means process monitor. Okay, process monitor. So PMON will, what and all the uses or functions of the PMON means, like while you are working in Linux OS, if you want to kill a particular process, you might give like this kill -9, that process ID you used to give. Okay, so to kill a particular process or to kill a particular transaction, you'll use this PMON. As well as to release the resources, release the resources, release the locks. So all these things we use the PMON. Release the resources means what? A particular process might hold a particular memory. Okay, even after that particular transaction got over, also it would hold the resource. It would hold the memory or processor, and it won't release it. So PMON will go and check that particular process is over, means it will release the memory from that resource. Okay, so it will similarly locked, a particular transaction is being logged by some other resource, means it will release the lock. Okay, so this is how the PMON works. Next one is SMON. So SMON means system monitor. Okay, system monitor. So what do you mean by this? Means first one, it is doing instance recovery. Okay, instance recovery. What do you mean by this? So instance recovery means first one, it will roll forward the committed transactions. Okay, roll forward the committed transactions, and then open the database, then roll back the uncommitted transactions. Okay, roll back the uncommitted transactions. Okay, so this is how it works. So let me explain with an example. See, you have inserted some 50,000 records. Okay, and now you are inserting some 25,000 records after that. First you have inserted 50,000 records. After that you have committed. Committed means you have saved the records. After that now you are inserting 25,000 records. Those 25,000 records are not committed. Okay, at this time the instance gets crashed. Okay, the memory structures gets crashed. So the SMON, what it will do, it will roll forward the committed transactions. Okay, it will roll forward the committed transactions means what? Committed transactions we have as 50,000 committed records are there. So those it will roll it because we have committed, isn't it? So at that time it has got crashed means it is rolling forward. Rolling forward means moving all those, flushing all those records into the data files. Okay, all the committed records will be flushed into the data files. Then it will open the database. Then again you have the 25,000 records, uncommitted records are there, isn't it? Uncommitted records 25,000 are there. So just it will move them to the, here you have the undo records, here you have undo data files. So there it will move. Can you follow? This is what is the function of SMON, that is called as instance recovery. Means first what it will do, it will roll forward all the committed records into the data files. Then it will open the database. Then it will roll back the uncommitted transactions. So this is how it works, SMON. So next one it is doing is, so this is called as instance recovery. Next one it is SMON is doing is coalescing the spaces. Coalescing the spaces. What do you mean by this? Coalescing the free spaces means, see, your blocks will be like this. See, one block you have, one more block you have. Okay, so you have the used extents here. Inside the blocks you have the used space and the remaining is free space. Here you have this is the used space this side and this is the free space. So it will merge all those spaces and form a useful space. Okay, it will merge all those spaces and form a useful block. That is what is called as coalescing the free spaces. Like a puddle, you can imagine when it rains, no, some place it will be water, the other place will be okay. So like that the free spaces will be there. So those free spaces it will just merge it to form a useful space. Okay, that is the second function of the SMON. Third one, temporary segments are deallocated. Temporary segments are deallocated means what? See, you have in your data file, temporary data file is also there here. Temporary files means like you can imagine like a slate or a board. Okay, whiteboard. What we'll do, we'll write something, wipe it, again we'll write something. Similarly, here these temporary segments are used for sorting and searching purpose. The PGA we saw, right? PGA, if it is not able to handle so many records, or the RAM is not able to handle it, PGA size is very less to handle our records. Might be 10,000, 10 lakhs records are been have to be sorted, means it will be done in the temporary segments only. So as soon as the temporary segments have completed its work, okay, they are deallocated. That space, temporary segment has some space, right? So that is given back to the Oracle server. That is what is SMON's function. Fine. So SMON will check that temporary segments work is over. It will give back the space to the data file. Next one is DB writer. So DB writer means whatever the actual executions are carried out here on the DBBC, it will be writing into the data file. Okay, into the hard disk. RAM it is done. So DB writer is the one which will write from the DBBC into the data file. So similarly, you have the log writer. So log writer means it is a background process which will write from the redo log buffer into the redo log files. Okay, all the redo log entries I said, right, like an attendance register. So those entries are forwarded into the redo log files by the log writer. So next one is checkpoint. So checkpoint is just a background process which will it is like a counter, you can imagine. Okay, so it is a counter whenever major changes we are doing in the database, like when we have truncated a table or dropped a table or dropped any file here, any file is dropped, means this checkpoint will occur. So checkpoint is an event. Whenever there is an event occurs, major changes in the database occurs, at that time this occurs. Fine. So these are the mandatory background processes. The others are non-mandatory background processes. Next one we have in the database, what we have: data files, control files, and redo log files. So data files contain actual data. Okay, raw data it contains. Then control files. So control files, you can imagine like a heart of the database. Okay, so it will only open the database. Control files only will open the database whenever it finds a synchronization between the data files and redo log files. Control files only will open the database. Fine. So redo log files already we know it contains redo log entries. So control files only will open the database, as well as the control files will contain the name of the database, what is the database ID, and the locations of these files. So where the data files reside, where the redo log files reside. So all these data will be present here in the control files only. So this is a very important file. Without this, we cannot open the database. Next one we have these files. The parameter file. Parameter file means the all the configured parameters. What is the database name? What is the location of this control file? Because without this we cannot open, right? So the location of this itself is present here only. So using this only we can start the database. Okay, so parameter file. Next one you have the password file. So password file means the sysdba, we have to give the password. Okay, for the sysdba we are giving the password. So the sysdba's password will be stored here. Next one, archive log files. So we have already seen that redo log files is used for recovery purpose, right? So if this goes off, what I'll do? Without this I cannot recover my database, right? So I'm maintaining one more copy of this redo log called as archive logs. Okay, so I'm maintaining one more copy of this redo logs called archive logs. You call this as offline redo log files as well, because it is not inside the database. Outside, even if the whole database goes off also, I can regenerate my data using my archive log files. Fine. So this is how the architecture is being organized. Our Oracle database is being organized like this. Fine. So till now, do you have any doubts, both of you? We have come to the end of the session. Yeah, you can unmute and tell me. Any doubts you have, Praveen?
Yes, this
Yeah.
in OVF or primary component, this instance, shared pool and HA, these are the node, right?
Yeah, it is. In the physically, it is present in the RAM.
Uh,
How about Slim? Do you have any doubts, Slim?
No, 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 I'm good. I'm good.
Okay,
Thank you.
fine. So I'll send you the recording to you, both of you. Fine, we'll see tomorrow the same time. Okay. Fine. Thanks, guys. Bye.